August 27th, 2020. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 216 of You Can Bet On That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet On That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting across from me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
Mike, we had so many audio problems last week.
Yes.
It was terrible. It took us forever to record.
Yep.
And then it took me forever to edit the next day.
I think the 1 hour turned into like 3 hours.
Yeah, it was terrible. So we decided, you know what? Just come back over to my house. We'll record here. Plus, we've been going up to the casino together, anyway.
Right.
We've both got masks on. We're 6 feet apart. You came in through the basement door, so you didn't even have to see my family.
No, it wasn't even a door. It's more of like a crawl space.
Yeah, exactly right. So welcome back to the studio.
It's actually so much easier being here than at home. It's not as comfortable at my house.
It's not.
No, I'm not kidding. For this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
it's hard. I can't. Should I sit on the bed? Should I sit in a chair? It's like people at work have been telling me it's about 50-50 patients who like working from home and ones who don't.
Mm-hmm.
And a lady this morning told me she hates it. And I said, why? And she said, well, at work, I had this ergonomic chair. My back felt so good. At home, I'm at the kitchen table, and that's fine to eat, but it's not good to sit there for 6 hours straight and work on a computer. And, she just said, oh, it's just my back's hurting.
Mm-hmm.
My eyes are hurting because I don't have the big monitor like at work.
Oh, yeah.
And so, in her case, she hated it. And then other people like, oh, I hope I never have to go back to work,
Right, Yep. Well, welcome to the luxurious You Can Bet On That studios. Welcome back.
In
Glad
sunny
you're here.
San Diego.
I'll tell you, seriously, it's going to be so much easier for me to edit this tomorrow.
Yeah, right. Sure. I know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, we went to the casino a couple weeks ago. We ran into a couple of listeners who have called in. Listeners Casey and Zach. It was a lot of fun meeting them. Unfortunately,
Yes.
We didn't have a very good session, but
I've been in a fog.
yeah.
2020 has been the worst gambling year of my life.
Really?
Yeah.
You can say that.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
Oh,
I
gosh.
guarantee it. I
Wow.
guarantee it. It has been miserable. We've had 1 or 2 wins, right?
Yeah.
And they've been, okay wins, but no, it's been terrible. I don't know what it is. I want to blame it on COVID-19, but I don't think that influences the dice.
Well, keep in mind, it's cards also, too. So
Yeah.
maybe the COVID's all over the cards.
All over
and
the
that's it.
cards,
Yeah.
right? Weighing them down or something? I don't know how
Something
that
like
works.
Yeah, we should be betting the don't.
Stupid virus.
But yeah, I know it's been bad, but I didn't realize it's been that bad for you. I mean,
me,
it's been bad for me, no question. But
For me,
wow,
it's the worst. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Well, you're running out of your cushion.
Yeah, that's true. I don't have much of a bankroll left.
No,
it's true.
it's terrible.
I don't know what we're gonna do.
Yeah. Oh, well, we're going to have to reevaluate.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
I'm going to reevaluate.
Good.
We'll see how that works.
All right. Well, Zach, if you recall, we played a voicemail of his on our last episode where he was having some trouble at the roll to win table.
Right.
And I was speculating that maybe it was the cards. He didn't realize it was the cards or anything. But no, we talked to him and said there was just some glitch, and they basically paid him his money, just hand paid to make up for the problems on the machine, and he walked away from the table. So Who knows what really went on there?
Well, I'll tell you, Mark, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but technology sucks.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
It screws up, I think, enough that it's annoying.
All right. Now, we wouldn't have this podcast if it weren't for technology.
Well, we'd still have it. It's just you and I'd be the only ones that would hear it.
All right. Good point. Yeah.
So, in the old days, we had this podcast. It was just in the car on the way to the casino, right?
Yeah, that's true. We've been doing this for more than 30 years. Yeah.
Right. It's a little raunchier in person when it's just you and I. But we still had it.
Sure, yep. Well, hopefully things will turn around here soon. Hey, we got an email from listener Harrison. I'm going to read part of the email here. He says, I was wondering if there is an episode where you cover popular betting strategies. Do you think they can be useful, or are they just a hoax? I play on a basic blackjack app with fake money, and I'm up almost 8,000 using a slightly modified version of the Oscar's grind strategy. I understand the math behind you're eventually going to lose at a negative EV game, but I'm curious if you or your listeners gamble with some sort of strategy in mind. Another thing, my fake blackjack success has made me think that maybe the app wants me to win, so is giving me an advantage in order to get me to the casino. Do you think free gambling apps would mess with the probabilities in order to give you a false confidence? Let's start with that question right there.
Well, I'm just going to say right off the bat, my wife is up about, I don't know, $100 million on the slot app that she plays. Yeah. Okay? So she doesn't have quite the same results in the casino. Even if we standard deviate that for the amount of money she's playing, it still doesn't work out.
I don't think so. I would say this, though, when it comes to and that's one thing with slot apps, right? They want you to have a good time. I think with blackjack apps, for the most part, they're going to be legit and they're going to turn out the way that you would see at a casino, with some huge exceptions. Those being, if you're playing with an app that an online casino is providing, or if you're actually on their website playing their play money. In that case, sure, they may be messing with it so that when you eventually do put down real money, you don't know what to expect.
Well, I think most definitely. I think their goal would be to have you build up a sense of false security that, this goes pretty well. I'm going to try it in casino, and maybe it doesn't quite go as well. If you bought remember we had those handheld blackjack games.
Right.
Those, there's no reason to screw with, right? I mean, they don't. And when we had that, I seem to remember it being pretty much like regular blackjack.
Oh, yeah, I lost over the long run. Yeah, I wasn't counting cards or anything.
No, and I would play, and I'd think, God, how can I lose 8 hands in a row? It's so stupid.
Yeah.
But
So I would say if it's a standalone app, it's not associated with any kind of casino or, somebody trying to sell you some system or something, then it's probably going to be okay.
As soon as it involves somebody trying to make money, there's motivation behind what they're doing, right? In everything in life.
Right. Now, talking about betting strategies. First of all, there's no betting strategy, and I'm talking about a betting strategy, not counting cards or hole carding or anything like that. I'm talking about combining bets, upping your wagers just as part of a money betting strategy. There's no way to beat a negative EV game. We talked about in one of our very early episodes the famous martingale system. It wins and wins, but when it loses big.
Right. On the surface, the martingale system sounds great. It's like, well, I can't lose every hand until you lose every hand.
That's right. And here's the other thing, too. When it comes to these betting strategies, and we're going to talk about the Oscar's grind strategy that Harrison mentioned here, but when it comes to these strategies, they usually work. See, that's the thing, is they usually do work. It's just when they eventually don't work, then they're devastating.
Yeah, and my opinion is they work at managing your money, which for most of us is very hard to do. But if you stick to a certain strategy, it kind of manages your money. In other words, controls your betting so you don't go crazy.
Okay, I guess I can see that, except that in the case of the martingale, where you're basically doubling every time. I mean, what's your definition of crazy, right?
Right. Yeah. But most of them, like, let's say the Iron Cross in craps.
Okay. All right.
That's kind of like trying to manage your money so that you get wins on everything. Because, sometimes the 6 comes up and you win a little here, but you lose there.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. As opposed to somebody just like, putting all their money on a 5 or something, right? And it's just sitting there waiting for a 5. So they do have some merit, I think, in that respect.
Right. So Harrison actually asked, do you think they can be useful? Absolutely, they can be useful. Or are they just a hoax? Well, they're only a hoax if the person telling you about it says, hey, you're guaranteed to win.
Right.
And then it's a hoax.
That's the first big sign. When anyone says you're guaranteed, that you just walk away. Yeah, oh, thank you very much. Bye.
Eventually you're going to lose. Let's talk about this Oscar's grind strategy, though. It's kind of interesting. What you do is you start a session and you say, okay, how much do I want to win? And you're thinking in terms of one bet. So let's say you say, I want to win $5. Craps table, roulette, whatever. I'm going to bet on an even money bet, and my goal is to win $5. So let's say you buy in for $100, just to make it simple, right? So on the first bet, you bet $5. If your bet wins, your session is over. Now, I'm not saying you have to leave, but that is the definition of the end of that session.
Okay. Right.
If your bet loses, you bet the same amount that you did before, $5.
Uh-huh.
If you lose again, $5. As soon as you win, you increase your bet by the amount that you want to win. So in this example, you would increase your bet by $5 after a win. And if you win again, you increase by another $5 up until you're actually ahead $5.
And then that session ends.
Right, that session ends. And every time you lose, you bet the same amount that you bet on that losing result. So if you've gotten to the point where you're betting $15 because you've had a few wins,
right,
and then that loses, you stay at the 15.
You stay at 15, and if you win that one, you go to 20.
Right,
until you've gotten $5 ahead of your initial buy-in.
Right, and you may actually reduce your bet if it were to pay out, it would be above a $5 profit.
Okay,
that's another part of it. So anyway, I know it's always hard to kind of visualize this when you're just listening to us on a podcast, but look up Oscar's Grind online. The Wizard of Odds has a good video kind of explaining it. But again, it's kind of that same idea is that you're trying to win that relatively small amount, and along the way you may be betting quite a bit. But unlike Martingale's system where you're increasing when you lose, with this one you're increasing when you win.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I guess that's the cups half full, cups half empty theory, right? Depending on which way you want to go.
On how you go, yeah. And again, this system's going to work, but eventually it's not going to work, and you're going to lose that whole $100 or however much you decided you were going to start with.
Well, in that strategy, the limiting factor is what you started with.
Mm-hmm, yes.
Because, at some point, let's say, you've lost already 40 and then you've got to make a $25 bet. You lost 65, you lose that. You don't have enough to make your next bet or whatever,
correct.
right?
Right. So that would be the end of a session in that case too, right? Yeah. So it's interesting. You can run some simulations on it. And again, just don't get fooled into thinking that it's a way to make money because it's not.
Right. Well, it's just like our good friend Lonnie, who years ago told us he wins every time he plays blackjack.
Every time.
Every time he goes to the casino, he wins.
Wasn't a counter.
No. He was just lucky. He was one of those people that always wins. Until, he didn't.
Yeah.
Which probably was a lot more than
he would never tell us. I think you even said you have a patient who says they play slots. They go out every weekend and they always win.
They always win. You may be the only person in the history of the world who wins every time they play a slot machine.
Yeah, weekly.
Jeez. We wouldn't leave. I mean, seriously, right? We wouldn't leave the casino. I mean, you're an idiot for going home. You just keep winning.
All right, so to repeat, don't follow a betting strategy expecting to win, because there's no betting strategy that can win when you're just talking about how you're going to change how much money you've got out there, for each bet.
I think some people, though, seriously like betting strategies because it confines them to a certain way to play that they're comfortable with. They're not moving around, and most of us like order.
Right. Yeah.
So we like that order, I know what I'm going to bet this time. It's no whim. It's not like, I bet 5 and now I feel like lucky I'm going to bet 20,
Yeah, that's true. And if you like playing that way, we've said it before, by all means, go ahead and do it.
Right.
Just be aware of the facts here. If you like playing that way, go for it. Eventually, though, you're going to hit that big loss.
Right. And then you're going to think, well, this system sucks. You're going to base it on that one loss, right?
That's right. And then you're going to find another system that basically does the same thing. Right. All right, moving on. So we got an email from listener Mike. He was asking what our opinion of bubble craps is. And I know for a lot of new listeners, we talk about bubble craps quite a bit, and maybe new listeners don't know exactly what it is. But bubble craps, and I love this. We're going to hear from listener Brandon a little bit later on. He actually sent us an email. He was saying that his wife calls it Bouncy Craps.
Yeah, I like that.
I love that, huh? Bouncy Craps. It's basically a craps machine that you will see in casinos.
Right, and the dice bounce around in there.
Yeah, exactly. And we do recommend it for people to first be introduced to the game because it usually has low minimums. There's no real pressure. You don't have to make a bet. You can skip. You don't even have to roll the dice, press the button.
Yeah.
But it's a good way to learn,
and if you don't make a bet, let's say you're a little flustered and you can't decide, what you're going to do. The game goes on. You're not slowing anybody down or anything. It's just like, oh, okay, I didn't have a bet.
Right.
So that's nice because I think some people feel like, they got to get everything done quick because people are waiting on them, in regular craps.
Yeah, exactly. So, just real briefly, you can go back to, if you search at youcanbetonthat.com, you go to the search box and just enter Bubble Craps. It'll show you episodes where we talked about Bubble Craps before. But no, we definitely recommend it. It's, not really a game for you, Dr. Mike, because you make a lot of bets and your bets are pretty large too. And sometimes there are maximums on these machines.
And I don't have the patience for it, really. Honestly, you have to be a little more patient.
But I think it's a great way to go. And there have been plenty of times where I've been perfectly happy sitting at the Bubble Craps table while you'll be on the regular craps table. And there are other good reasons too. If it's 6 a.m. and the craps tables aren't open at the casino you're at, go to the Bubble Craps, right?
That's
Usually
always
there's a spot
open.
there. Yeah. So.
Well, it used to just be Bubble Craps. That was it. When we said bubble, I thought of Bubble Craps. Now we say bubble, I think of the NBA. They're playing in the bubble.
Oh, okay,
there,
sure. Mm-hmm,
so
right.
bubble basketball.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be bubble. Eventually, it's all going to be bubble, Mark. Where are you going? I'm going to the Bubble Vons. I like the way the food bounces at Vons.
Right. Well, I'm going to the Bouncy Vons.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds good too. All right. So here we go. Last episode, we talked about possibly putting on a poker tournament for You Can Bet on That listeners. And we have decided to go through with this. We've pulled the trigger. The poker tournament is going to be on September 6th at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. That's over Labor Day weekend. That's Sunday there. We basically chose that because we thought Sunday would be a good day of the week. And that is the week before NFL football starts. Supposedly.
Right.
And so that's the time that NFL games start on Sundays, right?
And we're hoping that a lot of people aren't traveling because of COVID.
That's the other thing, right?
So
normally we wouldn't
home.
do it on a holiday weekend, but yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be home.
And if churches are open by then, go early.
Right.
So you can be home by 10.
Right.
We always go to the early service anyway at our house.
So we're going to have this tournament. It's going to be on Poker Stars. We're going to be playing for just play money online. But then we will be giving out prizes to some of the top finishers. For first place, we're going to give away a $100 Amazon card.
Okay.
Second place is going to get a $50 card. Third place will get a $25 card. And then there will be bounties on both of our heads. So if you take me or Dr. Mike out of the tournament, you will also get a $25 Amazon card.
Nice. So the third place guy can make more than second if he takes both of us out and finishes third.
Oh, absolutely.
I'd like to see that.
Absolutely. Now, you have claimed that you're going to be winning this tournament, and that we won't be giving away that $25 bounty.
Sad but true. I think I'm going to win.
In addition, thanks to fellow podcaster Timothy Lawson, the first place finisher will also receive a year membership to Masterclass, which includes poker classes by Daniel Negreanu and Phil Ivey, along with over 80 more classes on all sorts of subjects. So thanks to Tim for that. So that's in addition to the $100 Amazon card.
Yeah, I'll just probably donate that to somebody because I don't know that Daniel Negreanu or Phil Ivey could teach me anything. So,
I agree. I don't think they can teach you anything. We're in agreement on that.
Yeah, I'd like to see him try.
And one final thing, too. We want to encourage other podcasters to take part in the tournament as well. I know a lot of times when podcasters give away stuff, I always think, oh, well, I'm not going to enter for that, right? I'm another podcaster. Right. But in this case, I think it would be fun.
Yeah.
To get other podcasters on there, too, and we can have this fun
And they
game.
should make their username something so we can identify them as the podcast that they're from.
Well, I'm not going to force people to do that because they might already have Poker Stars accounts.
I want to shame them online, Mark.
We'll find out who they are, Mike. Don't worry. All right, so here's what you need to do if you don't already have the PokerStars app. First thing you want to do is download the app. On a PC or a Mac, you just go to pokerstars.bet and click on download, and you can download the app directly to your computer right there. If you want to use your mobile device, download the app called PokerStars Play Money Poker, or sometimes it's called PokerStars Lite. And you'll be able to play in the tournament with us. Lite. Yes, thank you. PokerStars Lite. Okay, once you've done that, create an account. It's perfectly free. You'll need to come up with a username. When you do, it doesn't have to identify you, if you really want to kind of be anonymous. Now, Mike and my username is YCBOT Mark. right? YCBOT. You can bet on that. And Dr. Mike is YCBOT Dr. Mike. So it'll
Correct.
be really easy to find us on there. Okay, so as soon as you sign up, you will get a certain amount of Play Money chips to begin with. And you can also get an additional 15,000 in Play Money chips every 4 hours. There's a button at the top of the app that says free chips. And every 4 hours, you can get 15,000 more. You don't have to be on the app the whole time. It's just 4 hours later, bring up the app again. You can get 15,000 more chips. And why that's important is because you'll need 20,000 chips to enter the tournament. So I can't remember how many chips you get initially, but
I think it's more than 15 if I remember
it could
correctly.
be something like that.
Might
but,
be enough to cover it.
You know, if you already have an account or, you start playing some other Play Money, just remember you'll need 20,000 to register for the tournament. Okay. Once you've got your account, send us an email at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com with your PokerStars username. We want to be able to associate everyone's PokerStars username with an email address for a couple reasons. Number one, if you win one of the prizes, we're going to send it to you via email. And also, if we need to make some kind of announcement, like the turn, we have to cancel it or delay it or something like that, rather than try to go through PokerStars to get the information out,
Right.
I'd like to have everybody's email so I can say, hey, here's the status. So if something goes wrong or something like that.
Or there's any questions at all, people might just have some questions.
Right. We will not use your email for any other purpose. Okay? So don't worry about that. We are not giving out your email.
For two reasons. Number one, you would never do that. And number two, I'm not sophisticated enough to even access it or anything.
Yeah. I
So-
could see you accidentally doing it, if
Yeah.
you just started hitting a bunch of keys on your computer, but I doubt that's going to happen.
I doubt if I get that close to my computer, actually.
All right, so once we get your email, we'll send you an invitation to join our poker club. Follow the instructions in the invitation, and we'll add you to the poker club. If we receive a response to an invitation for a PokerStars username that we have not received an email from, we will not add that username to the club. And again, this is to avoid, the invitation being put on some chat board or something, where a bunch of people see it. Oh, I'm going to join this tournament. I don't even know what You Can Bet on That is, but hey, they're giving away free stuff. So this isn't a foolproof system, but it'll help kind of...
Yeah, because we'd like it to go to people who actually listen.
Yes.
Or have some interest in us, and we just don't want anyone joining, like Phil Ivey.
All right, so once you've joined the poker club, then you'll need to sign up for the tournament. In the PokerStars app, click on the Home Games icon at the bottom right-hand side of the window, and then you'll see our tournament, You Can Bet on That, listed under My Scheduled Tournaments in the window that comes up. Double-click on the tournament, and on the next screen, click Register. And again, you'll need $20,000 in Play Money chips to register, and it'll ask you, is that okay? And you just say okay. And then you're registered. And then just show up on Sunday, again, September 6th, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. So I'm going to go through these again just real quick. Number one, you got to download the app. Number two, you've got to create an account with a username. Number three, you've got to send us an email with that PokerStars username. And then we'll send you an invitation. Follow the instructions in the invitation. Then we'll add you to the group. And finally, sign up for the tournament. Don't forget that's 2 different steps. You have to follow the instructions in the invitation, and we'll add you to the club, but then you still need to register for the tournament.
Right.
That's 2 separate things. And if you have any questions, just email us again. You can bet on that @gmail.com. We have no idea how many people are going to sign up for this.
Right. Or how many tables we're going to have, or what tables we're going to be on.
That's right. It's complete.
PokerStars does all that for you.
Yeah, we have no control over that. So that potentially you could be on a table that doesn't have me or Dr. Mike on it, or both of us. Or now the thing is,
anyone you know.
Right. The thing is, you can always view other tables. There's a tables tab that you can go to. And so you can see the other tables and what's happening on those tables if you want to. We talked about having a video chat, but again, when we've tried to do video chats for games when there are only like 10 people, something like that, it's a lot of talking over each other. And if we had multiple tables, people would be talking about, the hands on their table and, other. It just doesn't make sense. I think there'd be too many people and too much confusion.
Right. Couple other things I think we should mention is, number one, if you are going to play on your cell phone, there might be delays there, or if you're moving around, that technology I don't think is quite as good as like on a fixed computer. So be aware of that.
Yeah, so try to be on a PC or a Mac if you can.
Right.
We realize that not everybody can, and
right. And if you can't, you can't. Yeah. But if you can, I think it goes a little smoother.
Yep.
And you do not have to be a poker player to play in this. You don't have to be a seasoned player or anything. It's open for anybody.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Any skill level. And believe me, I had a tournament once at my house where probably the least skilled person won it.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
I was there for that tournament, and I can attest to that.
Yeah.
He just got cards, and that can happen.
And he made some moves that were not real great, but he just was getting cards, and he ended up winning, and the rest of us are like, great. So... honestly, you do not have to be a skilled player. It helped to have a little bit of knowledge of the structure of the game and stuff. But if you're not a skilled player, you could still play.
Yeah. And if we haven't mentioned it, it is No Limit Hold'em.
Yeah, right.
Which we probably should say. I mean, I don't know if we actually said that.
Just when they turn it on, it's like, deuce to 7.
It's triple draw. What's the problem? Action's on you. How many cards do you want? Jeez. All right. Well, we hope to see everybody, at least virtually, in the chat on September 6th.
Yeah. And I guess we should say that Daniel Negreanu and Phil Ivey can play if they want.
Yeah. Well,
even if they don't listen, we'll let them play.
All right. I'll invite them. I'll send an invite to them.
Send an invite to them.
I'm sure they'll be very excited. Hey,
an Amazon card's an Amazon card.
Yeah, and
right?
they got the master class.
Yeah, right.
They can watch each other's videos. Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon with those tasty Amazon cards you're going to be winning at the tournament, please go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link towards the top of the page. All right, let's move on to some voicemails. First up is Ryan.
Hey guys, Ryan from Las Vegas. Just want to tell you a couple things going on out here with the COVID stuff. Like I always say, I always play at the local casinos here in Vegas, and mainly at the station casinos. But their rules are a little different. Some of the bigger casinos, if you get a drink and you want to take a sip of that drink at any time, you have to back away 6 feet from the table. I don't know how standard that is, but I recently also went to California and played at a couple of the casinos there, and that's not a thing there at all. Also, a couple episodes ago, you talked about the dealers not saying anything during getting tips. That actually happened to me the other day. Kind of a bad crew. When I first walked in, they were friendly. Hi, how you doing? I buy in, and then I put $25 on all the hardways, and I put all the hardways for the dealers. And they just say, all right, dealer hardways. Like, no thanks for the bet, whatever. Hard 6 hit. They collect it. They take it down, put it in. Never said a word. Never said thank you. Hard 8 hits. Maybe 2 rolls after that. Never said thank you. Nothing. Couple rolls later, I end up losing. Dice go around the table. I lose my initial buy-in. As soon as I lose my initial buy-in, the stick man says, if you're not playing, you need to get off the table. There's no spectators here. As I'm reaching for my wallet to re-buy in. So that was pretty annoying. So I just ended up leaving. I didn't like that at all. Also, funny thing happened. I was playing blackjack. It was just me and the dealer. I was on a roll. I started with $300 and I was well over $1,500. And this guy comes up, and then the dealer right away is like, hey, this guy's on a roll. Can you let him play a couple hands? And he's like, yeah, sure. And he puts his money down to bet right away. So I don't know if he was being sarcastic, but it's all right. So I get a 20. He has a 16, and the dealer's showing a 6. He goes, well, one of us has to hit it, either me or the dealer. And I'm like, well, you have a 16 against a bus card, and the dealer has to hit it if that's your theory. He goes, nope. He hits it, takes the bus card. I end up losing. Yeah, moral of the story is hit your 16. Thanks, guys.
I'm guessing the guy was not sarcastic. He was just ignorant.
Yeah.
He heard the dealer say, oh, this guy's on a roll. Can you let him play a few more hands? And the guy's thinking, oh, yeah, sure. Here, I'll make my bet.
Right.
But especially, then that he hits a 16 against a 6, right? So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because usually, someone new sits down, the other guy has to get up and leave. Sorry.
That's right. Oh, boy, I'll tell you, rude dealers. Yeah, that is terrible. You lose all your money, and then they say, If you're not playing, you need to move along. Yikes. What casino is this?
Oh, man. I would love for somebody to say that to me. I mean, honestly, Mark, I would love that. I would love to hear that. And I can just probably give you about 25 things after we're done with this podcast I'd tell them.
See, the great thing is I can talk to some of the dealers up at Harrah's and just have them say that to you, right? So
now, see, the thing is, I know they were joking, so I'd take it differently.
I know, but
if they weren't joking, oh boy.
Some of them listen to the show. I hope one of them does it next time, right? When you're wiped out and you're in a horrible mood, they just say, you know what, Mike, if you're not going to play, you need to move along.
they might not like my answer. I might not be allowed back in after that.
All right, next call.
Hey guys, so went down to the casino and I was talking about how, man, I can't wait to get on the craps table. You know, is it always this busy with COVID? And one of the dealers at the blackjack table said, well, you're lucky. There could have been no craps tonight. I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, last weekend the craps dealers went on strike and none of them showed up. Could you imagine waiting all this time to go back to a casino and none of the craps dealers showed up? I would be livid. Hope y'all have a good one.
Yeah, it's tricky because
it's very tricky.
There are a lot of dealers. When I was asking some of the dealers when Harrah's reopened, and I said, hey, are you glad to be back? And it wasn't an immediate, oh, yeah, this is great.
Yeah,
it was, kind of guarded, like, well, we'll see. So
right.
I can kind of understand that.
It's just like schools here in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to take San Diego off the watch list. And the health official says, yeah, schools can reopen September 2nd, but they're not going to.
Well,
the teachers, there's too many other things involved, right?
Sure.
And so the teachers union and some of the teachers want to, some don't. Some are okay with distance learning. Everyone's got their own opinion, and it's the same at the casino, right?
Well, in the case of schools, if you're a parent, do you want to send your kid there too, right?
Well,
that's another thing.
And some do and some don't.
Yeah.
It's really weird. And it's the same with a casino. I'm sure some of the dealers were like so happy to be back at work, and others are thinking, I don't want to get sick.
Yeah, right.
It's not worth it. Right?
Yeah. So, but like he's talking about, you might want to check ahead of time if you're going to a casino. Certainly, we've talked about how there are casinos here in Southern California that did not bring craps back afterwards, that actually took the tables off their floor. So,
well, and not just craps, other stuff too. We were talking about at the last Saturday of the month at RingCon Harrah's, Southern California, they have that big drawing, and it's always crowded. And we were driving up there thinking, God, I hope we can even get on a table, right? And same if you play slots, because half the machines are closed. Yeah. Can you even get on one? You may drive all the way there and just sit there, right?
Yeah, it's true.
You have to be one of those people, stand behind somebody and just give them the evil eye.
Well, and we have heard stories of people standing and waiting to get on at least table games for hours.
For hours, right?
Yeah. All right. Next up is Brandon.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. It's Brandon here from Colorado. I just wanted to pass along my Vegas trip report to you guys. My wife and I stayed at the Bellagio, as we usually do. And first I'll get to the gambling. It was up and down. My wife kind of got her butt kicked at slots, which has to be expected. And for me, craps was very up and down. I had some good sessions. I had some not good sessions. One thing I will say, yes, there is the plexiglass divider. There are 6 people to a table. But the dealers, sometimes they're hard to hear. They are so friendly right now. I don't know if they're just trying to drive their tips up or if they're happy to see gamblers again. But they were very friendly. The banter was great. One of them even asked, he said, what'd you do during your couple months of quarantine? We actually talked about him renovating his house, so that was really nice. So on that note, I do want to talk about one thing. There were a couple of callers in the last episodes talking about how Vegas was weird, how it's not normal, and they are right. It is not normal. With bars being closed, the plexiglass dividers, people wearing masks, it is not normal. But with that being said, I cannot wait to go back. Maybe that's for me on a personal level. I was there on March 16th for work, and it was the day that all the casinos were closing. I walked through the Bellagio. Every slot machine was turned off. There were LVPD guarding the cages. All the restaurants were closed. It was a haunting image. all the casinos were like that. Everything was just shut down, and that was not the Vegas that I wanted to have in my memory. So for me, at this point, any Vegas is happy Vegas, and it will get back to normal. It will. It might take a few more months. It might take another year, but it will be back to the Vegas that we all have in our memories. So I personally cannot wait to go back and experience it again. So anyway, guys, thank you again for what you do. It's been just wonderful during this quarantine to listen to you guys. So please stay safe, and I can't wait to have another Vegas trip report for you soon. Take care. Bye.
Yeah, so Brandon's wife is the one who calls it Bouncy Craps. So that's what I'm going to call from now on. I like that. Yeah, in his follow-up email, he wanted to make it clear that he wasn't making any judgment on how others might feel about the current state of Vegas and whether or not they might want to go. He was just giving his opinion, and he even said in his call that it was very personal for him based on what he saw when they were shutting down in March. So we've talked about it in previous episodes. Everybody's going to have their own opinion on whether or not to go, their own experience based on what they expect, that kind of thing. So,
based on his comments about the dealers, it reminds me of when we went to Mandalay Bay after the shooting. You know how friendly the dealers were and how appreciative they were.
It was emotional.
Of us being there. And I'm sure a lot of dealers in Vegas are like that now. They're just appreciative that people are coming and they're going to play because it gives their life some semblance of normalcy.
Sure.
And so they're happy probably to be back to work. And, that's how they make their living.
Of
so,
course,
they want tips and stuff too. But they're probably just really appreciative that anyone's even giving them a chance.
Yeah.
Because, there's a lot of people with good reason who might say, I'll just stay away for another month or two.
Sure.
Us included.
yeah,
right?
we haven't gone back yet.
Yeah,
No,
and look at us. So.
Now, we're going to the casino
Yeah,
every
right,
week. We're just not
right.
going to Vegas.
Right. Well, I was telling my wife, I kind of look at, I've got some great offers now.
Oh, yeah.
And I was telling my wife, I get these great offers, and part of me says, we should go. And then the other part of me is like, well, I can just go to Harrah's here, and maybe it's a little safer because I'm close to home. There's no traveling. There's just a lot.
Yeah.
So I just don't want to drive to Vegas either. That's part of it too.
Because they don't like the long drive.
Yeah, there's no bathrooms open between here and Vegas.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, even the train station in Barstow closed.
Okay. All right. Well, now I've made up my mind.
Yeah.
All right. Next call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Jason from Tampa. Wanted to share a couple of my experiences here recently. I actually went to Vegas back in June from Tampa, and then again in July. And the first one, in June, my wonderful host at the Bellagio, it's where I pretty much always stay, was offering $1,000 in free play, full RFB, to come out and just give it a try again. This was, I think, 3 days after the reopening. I'm a $100 to $300, $400 blackjack player. I'll play a lot of high limit slots and some roulette and craps here and there. But I mainly like to sports bet too when I'm there, so I'll divide it usually between the blackjack and sports betting. No sports betting, obviously, back in June, and actually the masks were not required then. And that's what we were most kind of concerned with and at the same time interested in. We wore our masks the entire time, but, that first trip back in June, it was so just not crowded. We went midweek that you couldn't tell. It was still a dead zone. You were walking through all the properties, and it was like you owned the place. Ended up being a good trip. I walked out about 8,000-9,000 up.
Oh, nice.
Went back in July, and this was right after they had closed all the bars. So all the video poker bars were closed, which sucked because that's usually one of our favorite things to do, especially at Bellagio. They have those really nice baccarat bars and the sportsbook bars. We like to place bets on a game and sit there and play video poker while watching our teams hopefully win us money. So that dynamic, having those closed, actually changed the trip more for us than having to wear a mask or plastic dividers at the table. At a certain point, you don't notice the mask anymore. You don't notice the dividers when you're playing blackjack because your mind blocks out things that you don't like after a while, and you just focus on all the good and, what you're there for, which is pleasure. Was it a pain in the butt? Maybe. I know my ears, I'm sure like you guys, wear masks all the time. Your ears get chafed, especially in the dry Vegas heat. The back of my ears, man, on the flight home were just burning red. But that being said, no issues. Didn't catch anything. Everyone was really respectful on both trips. I had no problems with anyone. Did not win on the second trip, but we had a really good time. In fact, had some really great meals at the Mayfair at Bellagio with some live music. In fact, I posted a picture, which I believe, if I'm correct, was the first live music in Vegas after the reopening. My Twitter is @Nocturnal Tangerine, and you'll see the picture there. But just wanted to report on...
And he got cut off there. You know, Mike, we've talked about inconsistencies in policies during the pandemic, which are bound to happen. I mean, that's just, they're bound to happen.
Everywhere. Yeah.
But when you think of a bar, if you think of a bar in your hometown, you know, like here in San Diego, you think of a bar, you think, okay, it's a lot of people mingling, getting close together, talking, laughing, you know, going back and forth from the bar, maybe
Pool,
dancing,
darts,
music, stuff like that. But a video poker bar in a casino is a completely different beast. Right. Especially now when they've got like every other machine turned off. It is a shame that you can't just go to a video poker bar and now that sports are back, just sit there, play on a machine and watch sports. Because that's not like the bar, the typical bar that you know you're used to in your hometown.
It's not your local bar down the street. Right. No, I agree with you 100%. And, you know, if it comes down to like, well, we don't want to have bar service there, just don't have bar service. Just have the cocktail waitress from the slot area or whatever take people's order at the bar.
At
just
the bar,
walk up, yeah, you guys want anything, you know, and get them a drink. You don't have to have a bartender at the bar.
Now, I understand that it's much easier to make kind of a broad policy. You know, and what constitutes a video poker bar versus some other kind of bar. I understand that.
Well, but and that's the thing with the world, not getting past the casino. We have to make broad policies because it's just easier. And most people don't understand that it's just a broad policy. Yeah.
But, you know, when you think about it, everything else that's going on in the casino during this is no worse than it would be, you know, people sitting at every other video poker terminal at a bar. So
yeah, it's actually probably safer at the bar, than anywhere else. Because you're just sitting there at the bar. You're not, you know, moving around or anything.
That's too bad.
Well, I like that he had a good time, though. I mean,
see,
you know,
and again, people have different experiences, right? You know, some are saying, oh, this was great. And, you know, it was funny, right? Sort of ironically, he had a better time that first trip because he could sit at the video poker bar at least. But then there were no sports going on then, right? So anyway,
And as far as the ear chafing, I've got so much chafing in other spots that my ears don't bother me at all.
Let's move on.
Hi, this is Landry from Orlando. I just got back from a 4-night trip in Vegas, walking around probably a few hotel casinos, MGM, New York, Aria, as well as Cosmo. All places had a minimum of $25, $50, or $100 tables. And what I did notice is even though the tables were with the social distancing or set up to a maximum of 6 players, it didn't matter the minimum table wager. They all had players. In fact, it was not common to see even at the $50 table that table was full with the 6 people. This leads me to wonder, is there any chance with how full these tables were during this time that we will no longer see a $10 minimum table on the Strip in Vegas? They seem to be doing very well at the $25, $50, and $100 table limits. And my biggest concern is that they'll never go back to that $10. What's your opinion on that? I'm curious to know. I'm a couple shows behind, and the one I was listening to this morning was about buying in at the craps table and about waiting for the shooter to hit the point or something along that line. And what I usually do, instead of standing there waiting for that to occur, especially if he's going on a roll, is I may throw $20 down and do just say, if money plays $5 hard ways, or if the point's a 5, throw 20 down and say, you know, place that on the 5. This way, the cash, you don't have to worry about them exchanging the chips, and also it gets you into the game. And if luck's going your way as you win, use that money to place other additional bets. I found that that's a pretty good way to get into the game without disrupting the flow of the game. But that's what I generally do instead of waiting in for the point, especially if the shooter ends up going on a hot roll. It's nice to be able to get in at some point. So that was pretty much my idea, is instead of waiting, maybe just throw some cash on the table for a minimum bet. just to get some action started. Thanks.
Yeah, not a bad suggestion. In other words, you're not buying in for your entire bankroll for the session.
Right.
You just throw down $60. You say, give me the 6 and 8, 30 each.
Right.
They don't have to count that much money. They don't have to call for the pit to come over and look, right? Because it's only $60.
Yeah.
And they just throw it out there real quick. Yeah, if that's something you want to do, I'd say go for it. Just keep in mind, if a 7 comes out on the next roll, the superstitious players at the table are going to give you the stink eye,
Well, here's another thing you can do, and I've been thinking about this since our friend Judge Dave was talking about.
Yeah, he sent us some email.
About buying in. Just go to the cage beforehand and get chips.
Yeah.
And then when you walk up to the table, you don't have to get your whole bankroll. Just get, say, $400 in chips.
Okay, for your example, because $400 for me,
right.
that is for my session. But
I mean, you can
I know what you're saying, right?
So I could just go get 4 black chips.
Yeah.
And then when you walk up to the table, if it's in the middle of the roll and you really feel like you want to get in, you've got chips and you just, it's just like anyone else making a bet, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't slow anything down at all.
Yeah.
I've been doing that when I go to get some more cash. I just have them give me chips.
Yeah.
Then when I come back to the table, doesn't matter where we are in the roll, I just start playing.
Yeah. If casinos will allow, not every casino allows you to get chips at the cage, right? So it'll depend on the casino.
But I think enough of them do. It's probably not a problem.
Yeah. But, even Judge Dave was talking about how he'll go up to a table and he won't just throw down money, and change only.
Right.
He'll throw down some money and say, hey, give me 25 on the come.
Right.
And I used to do that too. But it is nice if you only throw them a little money, like only for, the bet that you're about to make, not for your whole bankroll.
Right.
And then it doesn't slow the game down and nobody gets mad. And again, this is just etiquette. Buying in does not bring a 7 out,
Right. Well, I know for us, we just don't like the game to slow too much. So it frustrates us when somebody comes up and buys in for $4,000 in the middle of the roll and they got to count it all out and everything slows. And then, of course, the 7 comes up. I mean, it shouldn't matter, but it does. And then you're just like, oh, gosh,
Now, what Landry's asking about high limits on the strip, no, I personally don't think they're going to stick around. The reason they're there now is because most of the people who are going to Vegas right now are going there to gamble. Right. Now, some of the restaurants are open, but a lot of things are not. So the people going right now, they want to gamble. So you've got fewer people allowed on the tables, maybe even fewer employees working, fewer dealers.
Right.
So the casino raises the minimums because they know that they're going to be able to fill up the tables.
Right.
But once we get back to normal, more people who aren't necessarily gamblers will come. People who, like going to the shows and restaurants and gambling is maybe secondary.
Right.
They still want to get those people to the table.
Sure.
Maybe there'll be more dealers. Now the tables can be full.
Well, especially a game like craps, because they know they can have me at the table and they could have some guy betting $5 at the table and they get everyone's money.
Yeah.
As opposed to they make a high limit. Well, sure, I might go play, but the other guy's not going to play. So you might end up with, only 3 people at the table anyway. It's better off to have 6 because you can always bet higher.
Yeah, that's right. You can always bet higher. Now, that's as far as minimums go. Now, as far as some of the crappy rules that the strip has, like 000 roulette and 6 to 5 blackjack, that kind of thing.
Those are here to stay.
Yeah, those aren't going anywhere. Yeah. All right, last call from Mike.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Mike from Charlotte, North Carolina. Got a little Vegas trip report from August 16th to 20th. Stayed 4 nights at the Cosmo. Had a good deal, $99 a night, no resort fee, so we were happy on that. Vegas overall, Sunday to Thursday, pretty dead, like 11 p.m. on the strip, barely any people out. So, Dr. Mike, if you hit that 6-point fire bet and have 20 grand in your pocket, you might not want to walk back to your room, as there is very few police presence as well. So that was interesting. Gambling-wise, most tables, 15 to 25. Surprisingly, one table open at the Cosmo in the morning, $50 minimum, and it was filled, 6 players. But yeah, overall, still a good time. I recommend if you're going out, make reservations at restaurants. And if you're expecting more than gambling, eating, and going to the pool, probably not the time for you to go. But we still had a blast, even with masks. People are good on masks. They're wearing them in the casino, even outside, walking down the street in 112-degree weather. So felt pretty safe overall, and head back in November. So thanks a lot, guys. Keep up the good work.
All right. Thanks, Mike. And, there again, another report. People are having different experiences. They're expecting different things. So we really appreciate people calling in and letting us know how their trips went.
I think one thing that I took from Mike's call is that people are getting used to the mask thing, and people are just wearing them now. At first it was like, yeah, there's those ones that don't. Now I think you see more people wearing them than not.
I think
At least
you're right.
That's been my...
There's still going to be the fringe element
Right.
that,
No, there's always going to be those. But now it's not like, 50-50 or anything.
That's
it's
true.
like
Yeah.
90% are wearing their mask or more, right?
Yeah.
Without any qualms. They're just doing it because they know they want to get it over with.
Yep.
So
No, I think you're right. But thanks again, everybody, for all your trip reports. Yeah, are we going in October? We still don't know yet, but it's nice to know, what people are going through right now when they take these trips.
And I think we're not going to Vegas more for the fact that we've been getting our butts kicked.
Gee, it has
versus
been,
versus COVID.
Did we mention that earlier?
Yeah.
How bad it's been going for us?
Jeez.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. We want to thank some people for some recurring PayPal donations. Brian Dancer, Brian and Sarah, and Josh. Thanks very much for those donations. Hey, be sure to check out our TV listings showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks at youcanbetonthat.com/TV-listings and our list of gambling-related movies at youcanbetonthat.com/movies. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
Or you can email us at youcanbetonthat@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at youcanbetonthat and on Facebook at facebook.com/youcanbetonthat. Finally, please go to your favorite podcast app and write a review on us. We love getting your feedback. Hey, Mike, this is a fun time to be a Padres fan.
Yeah, it is. It's one of the few moments in our history that we've had some fun.
Well, I'll tell you what. Okay, we've never won a World Series. The times we have been, we've gotten wiped out.
We played 9 World Series games. We won one.
Right. We've never thrown a no-hitter. We've been a no-hit.
Many times.
Never thrown a no-hitter. But every once in a while, something happens that is so exciting.
Yeah.
And, this last week, they set a record for consecutive games with Grand Slams, which was unbelievable. That last Grand Slam, the last day, it's funny.
Yeah.
I was about to go on a walk. We were going to take the dog for a walk. And I said to Sherry, oh, you know what? The bases are loaded. Let me just watch this at bat. And unbelievably, another one. That and Fernando Tatis Jr., who is on his way to becoming one of the all-time greats.
Yes,
I mean, really.
He
offensively and defensively.
Yeah, I told you that stat about leadoff home runs.
Yeah,
he said leading off a game, Ricky Henderson is miles ahead of everybody. And if he was continued to play at the level he's playing now and play till the age of Henderson did, he would shatter Ricky Henderson's record. I mean, it's crazy.
I'd say about defense too. You might have been at work for this, but did you see that play in, like left field?
Yeah.
Where really maybe the left fielder could have gotten there.
Right.
But Tatis, who plays shortstop, he went out. I mean, it's an unbelievable play. It's like, how did he get there and how did he get the ball?
News,
it was unbelievable.
Well, last night he tried to throw a guy out at the plate on a single over his head in short left, got it, and from his knees threw a strike to the plate. The guy was safe. I mean, he was obviously safe. It wasn't that close. But I don't even understand how you can throw that far from your knees. I know. I mean,
so we dump on the Padres, and we still will continue to dump on them only because, woe is us. But honestly, I do get excited for the Padres when they have streaks like this.
Well,
and things.
4 straight Grand Slams and then 5 in 6 days.
Yeah, they missed one game.
They missed one game, and then the next game they hit another Grand Slam.
It was when you were up at the cashier. I was at the table still playing. You came back. I said, hey, did you see they hit another Grand Slam?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Though, it's the Padres, Mark. So we're going to be disappointed. Probably before this season is over, someone will break their Grand Slam record. It's probably going to be the Dodgers. I'm sure there's people in the judicial system in LA who are just dying to see the Dodgers hit 6 games in a row of Grand Slams. But it'll get broken and they'll miss the playoffs or something.
Oh yeah, they're probably not going to.
I'm just already setting myself up for the doom and gloom that's coming.
That's the best thing to do when you're Padres fan.
And we only have one more month. I mean, it's barely.
know.
It's a little over a month
quick.
left in this year. And I know they're going to falter. Something's going to happen.
But again, we're bringing this up because it's fun right now.
Yeah, for
I'm
us,
having a good time.
For us,
okay?
it's fun. Yeah. And hopefully it continues. I mean, there's nothing more that I'd love to see than the Padres get to a World Series, even if it was this year.
Yeah, no, you're right. We joked about that, but even if it were this year,
even if it was this year, I'd be in everyone's face telling you how great the Padres are.
Well, we hope that everyone will play in the tournament again on September 6th.
Yeah, this is our last podcast before that, right?
Yeah, right. I know it's kind of short notice, but we kind of wanted to get it in before football season.
Right.
So we thought about that.
So hopefully we'll see you all there.
Yeah. And thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Good night.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet mother, I love you, Dr. Mike.